The last time Massachusetts updated its zoning laws was in the 1970s, and with the economic growth of the last few years putting so much pressure on housing costs, our next guest believes it's time to revisit this issue. His organization, the Massachusetts Smart Growth Alliance, is leading legislation that would accelerate housing production while also promoting the creation of healthy, walkable communities across the Commonwealth. Andre LaRue is the executive director of Massachusetts Smart Growth Alliance, where he's been helping local residents transform their communities through a smart growth project since 2007. Prior to that, Andre was the director of planning and policy at Lawrence Community Works, where he coordinated an award-winning community revitalization effort in Lawrence. Here to tell us more about this very hot topic is Andre LaRue. Welcome to Urban Update. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Byron.
Well, first of all, what does smart growth mean when it comes to developing new housing and protecting open spaces?
Absolutely. Well, smart growth is really about having choices in your community. So places where you have different options to live, if you have different family sizes or different ages in your life, access to transportation, access to good, healthy food and walking in parks. And we really want to create more of those places that have those qualities. And here in the Boston area, we only have really a small number of places. Only about 5% of the greater Boston area has those characteristics, and we want to increase that as much as possible.
Now, can you achieve both of those goals?
Yes, the great thing is that the real estate market is working in our favor now. As we get older, a lot of our folks who raised families in single-family homes, they want to downsize, but they want to stay in their community. And we haven't built enough apartments for our aging population. We need to do better on that. And at the same time, we have young people who are starting families who are looking for homes, or they're looking for apartments. And again, they're moving away if we don't create enough housing, especially affordably priced housing.
Why is it important, in your view, to pass the Great Neighborhoods legislation?
Yeah, well, we created this campaign really because if you look at the Boston area, over the last 7 years, Boston has permitted 37% of all the apartments for the entire state. And if you look at the top 10 communities, they've done 62% of it. So we have to make sure that all cities and towns across the Commonwealth do their fair share.
Okay. Now, in the past few weeks, 14 mayors and the Baker administration have all made pledges to increase the number of housing units built in Massachusetts. Now, what do you think of their proposals?
We're very excited about it. There's a lot of momentum growing for the Great Neighborhoods campaign, and we think that we need to have regional collaboration, so the mayor stepping up is a very good thing. The Baker administration's proposal rewards communities that build housing, and we think that's a great thing as well. But it's not enough. We have to pass statewide legislation so that we set some minimum expectations for all communities to participate as well.
Now, your legislation calls for the elimination of discriminatory policies and the adoption of inclusionary zoning. How important are those provisions in your view?
Well, they're critical. In your last segment, talking with Adrian Walker, we see that there's a lot of problems in this region. We are a highly segregated region, one of the most in the entire country. And the only way that we're going to peel back some of those barriers is by changing our zoning. It's been said that zoning is the Jim Crow of the North. A lot of the origins of zoning laws arise with the Great Migration of African Americans from the South to the North after World War I. And we continue to be segregated today. So we have to change our zoning laws to ensure that more people can live in more communities and have access to the opportunities they deserve.
What about the market, though? I mean, we see all this really high-priced housing going up, these million-dollar condos, investors from overseas buying up all these condos. Everybody sees all of these million-dollar condos, but the people who live here, they walk around saying, who can afford that? I mean, what do you make of that situation, and is there any way to alter that cycle?
Yeah, I think so, and I think it's by looking at it regionally. Part of the problem is that we have in places like Boston and Cambridge, there's so few places that have good access to transportation and to jobs. We've seen the prices there really explode, and that's where you see all of this, the luxury building. And the people that are getting displaced aren't moving next door to Milton, they're moving an hour away to Fall River, New Bedford, Lawrence. And we have to make sure that those cities cities that are receiving people who are being displaced get jobs and investments and have all the amenities that we do in other parts of the region.
Can you talk about some of the projects that you've worked on, or some examples that you see of what you're talking about in terms of these smart growth communities?
Yeah, so I think that I did a lot of work in Lawrence, obviously, and there's wonderful initiatives happening to transform those old mill buildings into housing and into job centers for the community. And I think that's the kind of thing we can do. We also need to retrofit the suburbs. The suburbs are automobile-oriented, and we've built out our plazas. They're dying in many ways, can't compete with the internet, and we have to learn how to create walkable places, bring back that culture of walkability and urbanity to even some of our suburban communities. We're starting to see that in some places.
Finally, I guess, what can viewers do to make sure that the Great Neighborhoods legislation is passed? What would you like to see the public viewers do?
Absolutely. We have our Great Neighborhoods campaign. It's easy to get involved. We're working with a lot of local activists in communities throughout the state, particularly in the Boston region, from Malden to Somerville and Cambridge and Jamaica Plain and Quincy, and looking to help them change their communities in positive ways. So you can go to the Great Neighborhoods website and sign an online petition, and we'll follow up with you.
Okay. Any point you'd like to add, or anything that any point at all you'd like to add?
Well, we haven't changed our development laws in Massachusetts since 1975. You don't use your phone from 1975. We shouldn't be using our same development rules. We've changed.
Okay, we'll leave it right there. Andre LaRue, Executive Director of the Massachusetts Smart Growth Alliance.
Okay.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks a lot, Byron.
And good luck in creating those walkable neighborhoods.
Thank you.
All right, coming up next, a new feature-length film about a Haitian family in Boston. All the specifics right here on Urban Update.